God has given you a gift of a guardian angel, and it's there with you every single second of your life and even afterwards. And it loves you unconditionally. And to your guardian angel, you're its number one. I would always say to everyone, what have you got to lose? Just ask yourself that question. What have you got to lose? Nothing. To believe that you have a guardian angel and that there is more to life. You know, one thing your guardian angel or any angel cannot do, and that is.
My guest today is Lorna Byrne, who not only works with angels, but they have guided her entire life. As a little girl, she was told that she was retarded. She knew that she was dyslexic, and yet here we are many, many years later, and she is a best-selling author. She has a YouTube channel with thousands and thousands of followers, and she has been so successful and so inspirational in her life because of her connection with angels. They told her about her husband, they showed her what he was going to look like, and they told her what her life was going to be with him. Her connection with angels is different than anybody else I've ever encountered. And today, she's not only going to share her stories with us, but she's going to tell you how you can work with your own angels. So, Lorna, joining us all the way from Ireland today. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your show, and I'm looking forward to enjoying this conversation with you.
Oh,
So
it's
it'll
going
be
to be
exciting.
so good. Well, I'm going to say, can we just call the angels in right now so that
So
they will be
here,
here to guide us? They're already here. Of course, they're with
yeah.
you. I'm going to call mine in. So, the first thing I'd like to ask you is for most people that are watching, they likely have not had an individual direct contact where they saw an angel or they knew for sure an angel was helping them or guiding them. So, to you, from your perspective, what are angels? And then how do you work with your angels?
That is a lovely question. What are angels and how do you work with them? Two questions in one. I love it. In a sense, angels were created long ago. You know, it's I was always a bit shy to say this at the very beginning, you know, when Angels in My Hair came out, because again, it was a question I was asked. And angels are creatures that were created by God long ago. And you and I are more than any angel ever could be. But mankind, through religion as such, all faiths, have put the angels on pedestals. But I love the way the angels have us so high up on pedestals. It's incredible. And, you know, your guardian angel, you know, I think just maybe for a person to allow themselves to recognize that this is a gift God has given them. God has given you a gift of a guardian angel, and it's there with you every single second of your life and even afterwards. And it loves you unconditionally. And to your guardian angel, you're its number one. And of course, I would always say to everyone, would be like, what have you got to lose? Just ask yourself that question. What have you got to lose? Nothing. To believe and to have faith and have courage to believe that you have a guardian angel and that there is more to life. And the possibility that, you know, many people would say to me, you know, do we really have souls? And I say yes, because I see the guardian angel with every single human being. I have traveled into many countries all over the world, many places, and everywhere I go, I see the guardian angel with every single human being. And the only reason you have a guardian angel is because it's the gatekeeper of your soul and it loves you unconditionally. And to me, that's incredible that regardless of whether you are attached to any religion or whether you believe or not, or whether you're, I would often say, good or bad, you have a guardian angel right there with you, no matter what. So you're never alone. I've had even children say to me, and adults, they would say, Lorna, I've been telling my family that my granda or my granny or my sister or brother didn't die alone because the guardian angel was right there with them. And no one dies alone. And that's a fear everyone has when a loved one dies and we feel we weren't there or nobody was there, but their guardian angel was there and took their soul straight to heaven.
Wow, I love that. I've never heard anybody use the term gatekeeper of your soul. And this makes so much sense to me because, from what I understand in talking to lots of people who've had near death experiences, is that we have a soul plan. We come here with a plan, which means we have an exit point. We have certain things that we want to accomplish while we're here. So, the gatekeeper of the soul makes me feel like the protector to make sure that we're not taken out of this existence before it's our time. Is that kind of what you mean by that?
Well, what would I say? I'd say yes and no. I have to
Okay.
say it that way. It's the gatekeeper of your soul. Its most important job is, of course, when your human body dies, to take your soul straight to heaven, to that place. We as human beings call it heaven. So we understand it's beyond our understanding as such, but it does exist. And I love that. And the gatekeeper as well to help to guide us through life. They give us signs all of the time. And, even when you're not being as nice as you should be, we'll say it that way, it's your guardian angel that gives you that guilty feeling. When I should have been a little kinder. I shouldn't have said that. I should have shared. That's your guardian angel helping you, telling you that's not something you should do. You should be kinder. You should be nicer in that way. And I love that because that's enormous guidance for us. Because sometimes if we're mean or selfish to someone, we could meet that person in 20 years' time and we actually need them, but they ignore you because they remember that pain and hurt that you put them through. So it's kind of, I've had teenagers saying to me, Lorna, caring is sharing. We're learning that now through your books. Caring is sharing. Again, it's that kindness, it's that compassion coming into life. And it's that love and understanding. The gifts you can't buy in a shop. They're not for sale at all. And I love that. And yet that's what the world is looking for today, even with everything that's happening in the world today. We're looking for the love within all of those things. Where's the understanding? Where's the kindness? Why are we doing this? And again, that's your guardian angel and your soul, that spark of light of God. That is, I always say, is so, so tiny, but yet so enormous, fills every single part of you and yet is out there. So your guardian angel has a huge job. It's the gatekeeper of your soul.
Wow. I love that you said that the angels are there reminding you to be kinder. And you gave that example of in the future that you might, with your actions, stop somebody from helping you later. So it's a great way to look at when we are being kind to others, we are actually in service to our own selves through that act as well without even knowing it potentially.
Yeah, I suppose I could tell you a little story and I'll cut it as short as I can. And
Sure, I
that's
love that.
where a man came up to me and told me about when he was a young boy. I know my voice is a bit horsey, but he was a young boy and he was living on the streets. He was cold, he was hungry for days and days. And he talked about going into this housing estate that looked like as if they had plenty to him. And he went knocking on the doors. And as he knocked on the doors, he said, Lorna, no one answered. Or someone answered and then slammed the door on my face. I didn't even get the chance to say, Do you have a piece of bread? But she said, I knocked on this door and this woman came out and she looked at me. And he said he was hungry, a glass of milk. Do you have a glass of milk? And the lady, he said, turned around and walked back into the house. And a few minutes later, she came out with a glass of milk and gave it to him. And he drank it and said, thank you. And then she closed the door. That glass of milk saved that young child's life. And loads of miracles happened after that. And that was an act of kindness. But it's an incredible miracle that happened. Somehow he got educated. Somehow he became a doctor. And then one day he became a surgeon. He had done an operation on this woman. She didn't recognize him. Of course she wouldn't. But he recognized her and remembered her kindness. And she passed comments saying, from her bed, well, I hope this is not going to be too expensive, some comment in that way. And he said, I just turned around and walked off, never said a word to her. And when it was time for her to leave, he said he got the nurses or whatever to give him the bill. And he wrote on the end of it, a glass of milk. That was the charge. So that's a huge example. And we need that kindness in the world today because there is so much hate and anger. We're fighting over the differences and the different faiths and different beliefs. And the angels are working really hard. We have this incredible soul of love. You can't buy it. It's not for sale, but we have it. And yet we lock it away, and God has given you a gift of a guardian angel to help you to let that love out, no matter how hurt you have been. Because it's no point, one thing the angels have always taught me, and Archangel Michael, there's no point in being angry and full of hate and grievance and saying, oh, why don't things work out for me all the time? It's no point in being negative all of the time. We've got to change that, our luck on life. Life is so precious and so beautiful. It doesn't matter, all the doors that were closed and all the doors that were slammed on that young boy's face, slammed on him. And then the one that opened, isn't that giving us all hope that we could be the one that opens the door? We could be the one that changes someone's life, but they change ours as well. One thing the angels have always taught me, and that is you give with a pure heart, no matter whether it's a smile, the smallest little thing, with a pure heart, and you expect nothing in return. Never expect anything in return, not even a thank you. Because you have to remember one thing the angels have always taught me. Someone might not be able to give a thank you because you have shown an act of kindness and they don't know what to do with that love. They kind of, back away. They don't know what to do. They look at you strange. They walk away, or they say, that's a whole load of nonsense. That's one thing that sometimes Irish people would say, that's a whole load of nonsense, in that way, because we don't know what to do with love. I better say no more and let you ask something.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I think you're right. We don't know what to do with love. And I think in this world, so many times people do things with an expectation. And so there is a reluctance to take that because they're wondering, what are you going to want for this? What am I going to have to give you? What am I preparing to give you that I didn't know that I had to?
We put a price tag on it. And I suppose the world, we've been conditioned for so long that everything is about material things. I've met many people of all ages and they would give away every material thing if they could have their child back or their mom or their dad, someone they love. In the end, material things don't mean anything. But I know I had to tell God, because I know what it's like to be so poor that you're out, which on your hands and knees, you're going through the soil and you're breaking it up even with your hands and your fingers to find a potato to feed your children, you know. And I just feel like the world today, there should be nobody hungry. There should be nobody cold. You know, this is what, the 20th century? Is it? I don't know now, but what's happened to us? Like, where's the love and the kindness? Why haven't we made the world into our planet, into a little glimpse of heaven? I've seen that we can do that, but what's taking us so long? And I just think we're holding on to the past, to anger and hate, and that's, you know, everything is governed by money as such instead of love and compassion and understanding. Like, just grown up as a child and being considered retarded because I was dyslexic, and severely dyslexic. Now, I don't, even today, it's really hard for me, judging a person before you even know them, before you know anything about them. I always say, you never judge a book by its cover, because we're like a book, our lives, and the outside of us is just the cover as such. Inside, there's, in a sense, the angels have taught me, a whole new world. It's each and every one of us are full of gifts, but we're never satisfied. We're always looking for, we're saying to ourselves, well, I want proof my guardian angel is there. And yet your guardian angel is giving you proof all the time. God has given us proof all of the time. And we're looking for, well, what does that mean if my guardian angel said to me, Lorna, pick up the glass of water and have a sip of water? It's only teaching you. And that's answering another part of your question as well. It's only teaching you. Why would you waste time asking why? That's what I would say. Why? Why would you waste time in that sense? Because learning, I'm still learning. I'm still learning every day, and I know I see the angels physically as I see you on the screen, but I don't see your guardian angel now on the screen. That rarely happens. But if you were in the room here with me, I would see your guardian angel and probably lots more. But that's normal for me. So I don't, what would you say, I don't take much notice of it unless for some reason your guardian angel got my attention for some reason to do with you. But I wouldn't go up to you and tell you, by the way, your guardian angel is asking me to pray for you or to do, I would never, they never let me step over boundaries in that way, because it's not about me. It's not showing, oh, look at me, I know all this or whatever. It's actually about you. It's about the other person. It's about everyone in the world to take that next step in evolution, that next step spiritually. I loved the way at my son's confirmation recently, the bishop, a young bishop, and just the way he talked, he's more up to date with the modern world in that sense, and it was lovely to hear him talking about spirituality. This, saying to the parents, that they have to show their child, the other side of the soul, the spirituality, the spirit connection in that way. And it was lovely just to hear him be so open about it. And yet, I know there's loads of people out there that think the word spirituality or, is negative. But it's hear a bishop speaking about it and asking parents to allow that spirituality to grow within their child. It was just lovely to hear. This is just something I'm sharing with you.
I love it. That's wonderful. I love everything that you've shared. So I'd like to understand a little bit more specifically about angels because I know we have the guardian angels. I've heard you mentioned today Archangel Michael. I've heard of seraphim angels. So there are different types of angels. How do they differ?
Um, well, to me, they don't really differ that much, except the archangels. It's the only way I can explain that. If in a human way, if you had a million soldiers and you put a general or someone higher up, I only know the highest as a general. I don't know if there's higher up in the army, and you put them into the center, or you hid them somewhere, you would find them, you would see them, and you would know. So that is the archangel. To me, all the other angels are, the romantic angel. I call them that because they help us with love and help us with that romantic love of a partner in that way. And I love seeing the way they're dressed, and I call it that golden string that they have that they throw at a couple, or they might throw at somebody over here and somebody over here, and maybe they have never spoke, but yet maybe they'd get up at the same time in a cafe to go out the door. Like we're always given, I watch the angels all the time, giving us the opportunity to say hello to somebody, to smile at someone, to make a conversation, but we're kind of, how would I say, we're closed off and we seldom do it. And then I love the unemployed angels. I just love them from the time I was a child. I just, how would I say, even today, they're, I always describe it like God overturns these enormous buckets. I call them buckets. And these angels come tumbling out. And just as they get towards the earth, then they unfold. If you can imagine that tumble, and they're there. And I started to call them unemployed angels. I don't think I ever put this into any of the books because my dad was unemployed for a time at different times. You know, he had to go into England, he had to go look for jobs, And at that time, when I was very small, I called them unemployed angels. And that's their name. And I love seeing them the way they help people with trivial things in their life. And so many people have told me they have asked for help from the unemployed angels, and even helping them carry their shopping bag. And, sometimes they would say, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have been able to carry it. But because I asked the unemployed angels, I made it home with my shopping bag. And I love that. And just thousands of people now, or millions of people all around the world, all religions, are so aware of the unemployed angels. And now they're sending them to everyone. You don't have to believe in angels. You send them everywhere. It's like God just wants that. Send them to Israel, to all of the people, send them to, is it Gaza, to all of those there, send them to America, to England, send them to where there's a drought, send the unemployed angels. You don't have to say to yourself, well, I can't send it to Mary or John because they don't believe in angels. If Mary and John needs an unemployed angel, send them. They don't even have to know, you know, but I know the next time you meet them, you will notice a change. Something they're managing or they're coping or something is a little better.
So when you say unemployed angels, do you just mean that they're not assigned like a guardian angel to one person so they could be agnostic and they could help anybody who needed help?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's why they're called unemployed. They're looking
Okay.
for work.
So
you
I'm
know?
curious because there's one part that I've never really understood about angels, and maybe you can help clear this up. So I know we have free will. It's God's gift to us that when we come here, we have this free will. I've heard people say that you, in order to work with your angels, you have to give them the permission. You have to say, you have my free will permission to work with me on my behalf for the highest and greatest good. But at the same time, I also know that angels do things on our behalf where I didn't necessarily say, will you do X, Y, and Z? But maybe I do have a prayer into God about something. So, can you clear this up? How does this work?
Well, I suppose maybe, one thing your guardian angel or any angel cannot do, and that is overstep your free will. They won't do that. They will give you the guidance, they'll push you in the direction, but you still have the choice. When you say, just say you have a problem or it's a big decision and everyone is giving you advice, telling you what you should do and this is the best thing and all of that. But yet, in your head, your guardian angel is communicating with you. Everyone is saying go right, but all of the time you have this nagging feeling you should go left. But it gets weaker and weaker because you're listening humanly only to the humans. I'll put it that way, and you go right. And afterwards you're saying, I knew I should have gone left. I knew I should have gone the other way, but I went their way. Again, that's your guardian angel doing its best. And even the souls of loved ones as well, probably dropping things in front of you that you're kind of pushing away in that sense, but they won't overstep your free will. You have the choice.
So,
And
Lorna, what do we
many,
do? What do we do then? Do we every morning say, if I want to work with my guardian angel today, I say to my guardian angel, I give you my free will permission today to work on my behalf, to intervene, to guide me, help me hear the guidance. Is that a way to do it?
you don't have to say that every day.
Okay, good.
That
Thank
would be
you.
where that would wear me out.
And who would remember? We have so many things we're trying to juggle.
It's like most of us at some stage in our lives, true religion have said, even as a child, my guardian angel, I need some help. We said it in some words, in some way over the next few weeks. And it usually does, but sometimes it's not the positive thing the person is looking for. So they throw it to one side. And I've often had many people tell me, I never had a feather in my house my whole life. And I open the drawer and there's a feather and I can't figure out where it came from. They give us signs all of the time. Sure, I'm talking to you. You know, someone can be listening to this show and they asked for hope, a sign, and the show is the sign to them.
Yes.
It comes in so many different ways. It's just like the glass of milk. It's just like the child doing her best to tell her mom that her dad didn't die alone, that the guardian angel was with her dad. And the mom lacking in faith, and yet in the faith they had, the religion they were in, spoke a lot of angels, but still it was lacking. And there's just so many stories I could tell you. It's like, even bishops and imams and priests, and I don't know the names of all of the religious leaders as such, but ministers and that coming up to me and asking me a question about, is God real? That actually shocked me the first time that happened. And then when it continued to happen, it even shocked me more because these religious leaders, they're highly educated. Some of them have been in Oxford and all these big places, and some are even teaching in these big places, and some are bishops, and they ask the question, Yeah, we all have a guardian angel, and you should be able to see your guardian angel just as I see. But I think what has happened, mankind has just been taught to look, not to see. So, how much have you allowed yourself to see where you're sitting, or have you just looked? It's kind
Mm.
of like to ask ourselves questions ourselves because that's personal for you.
One of the most incredible stories I ever heard about angels was through a near death experience. A woman who had a surgery during pregnancy and she wound up dying and going to the other side. And she was shown a life review, and then she was shown different times in her lives when angels had helped her. And this one story has just stuck with me forever. And I want to share it because then I would love for you to elaborate and maybe share some stories like this that stick with you. And she was in college. She had gone on this excursion into New York City and she had become very ill. Somehow, because of this, she missed her flight and she had to be back to her dorm by a certain time or she was going to be locked out of her dorm. She knew she had strep throat. She was very sick. And the only thing she could do was take a train because she missed this plane. And she realized it was $19.90 to take this train and she didn't have enough money. And she got off of the first train and now she's realizing she doesn't have enough money. And she said a man walked off of the train in a trench coat, handed her a $20 bill, and said, "Get home safely." And in this life review, that was the point where she knew that was an angel. And I just love that story because to me, it ties in with your unemployed angel. I'm sure it wasn't her guardian angel. But can you share some stories like this? Because those I think are so helpful in making people think, oh, that could have been a time that I worked with an angel.
Yeah, I love that story. And I've heard many a story like that people would tell me. And I just love the way God is giving us the proof that angels are here in the world helping us, and our guardian angel is the one that can't leave you for a second. All the others come and go, even that angel that gave her the $20, you
Yes.
know, it didn't need to say anything more and just hand it and kept going. I would hear many stories, and I suppose my own life is filled with stories like that, where, an envelope was dropped in the door. We heard the knock, went to open the door, and there was nobody there. The angel had already left. I think just life is, and I know some people might call that a coincidence, or even for the lady there being given the $20. But again, like it's like the little girl who told me, her mom and dad driving the car and the car was crashing. And she, as a little girl sitting in the middle of the car, could see straight out the window. And she said she saw an angel appear and put its hands on the bonnet of the car and stop the car from going over the ditch. There is so much proof out there for us, but yet, how would you say, we're getting more educated, but we're asking more questions. But it's like some of us are kind of saying, well, we're well educated, so we don't believe in anything like that until it happens then. And I just love the way spiritual things happen to the people who are in denial. I could be abroad somewhere or even in Ireland, and I could be sitting in a cafe or a hotel lobby and someone comes up to me, and especially men, which I'm of all ages, and they tell me a story about where something spiritual happened to them, but they can't tell it to anyone else because they're afraid of being ridiculed. It's just like, how will I put this? I'm not educated humanly. Okay. You know, I haven't gone to Oxford or those, I can't read or write. don't bother sending me a book because it's no good, you know. And yet, people that are highly educated and they have brains to burn, and I can't mention the names, but you know, they come up and tell me, Lorna, we love your books, we believe every word, but we can't say a word because we would lose a reputation or people would look at us funny or whatever. But if you save a life, if you give hope to someone, what does that matter? And I would just say, think about it. Just think about it. I don't even know if I answered your question.
You did, of course you did. And what I love about a conversation like this, Lorna, is I know that you're being guided what to say by the angels because, to your point, the person that needs these messages will find this. And those messages are for them. And you're speaking from your heart, you're speaking from your connection to God because you've had many interactions with God and also with your angels. And I absolutely love that. Will you share the story with the audience of how the angels told you about your husband to be that was going to come into your life and what your life was going to be like with him? Because this is just such a wonderful story.
Well, I think I was only about 10, roughly. I'd never know exactly my age. I'm only 5 foot nothing as it is now. So, you know, I was small. I was out fishing with my dad, you know, and we'd gone along the riverbank, and the angels had said, you know, to me, Lorna, there's someone for you to meet. And I told my dad, and he said not to go too far. I'm kind of trying to make it shorter. And when I got down to the riverbank, you know, this beautiful angel, Angel Elijah, just walks across the river. And being 10, like, I wanted to do that. And I said to him, could I not do that? And he said no. And I was very disappointed. And we sat down on a clump of grass. And then what appeared over the river was like, I'm always trying to describe it. You could say like a veil, you could say like a sheet of water, you know. It's kind of like it opened up, and I see this young man, and Angel Elijah tells me about falling in love. And I was giggling because I had the faintest idea of falling in love. What's the young? And he tells me, this is the young man you will marry. And I see this young man walking along a footpath, a road where there was houses and trees. And he's saying to me, I was going to fall in love with him. We'd get married, we'd have children, but we wouldn't grow old together. He'd get sick. And I remember feeling very upset. Why would he tell me that we wouldn't grow old together? And he just put his hand to the back of my head. And it was like as if he took the sadness away, you know, took it away, but yet spiritually I was so conscious of it. And Angel Elijah, just an incredible angel. How can I say the way his clothes were? I can't even do it. It's like wrapped around him, and just those amber colors, just and just so full of light. And when I watched him walking across the river, he was walking on the surface of the water, and it wasn't even, what would I say? It was like you had the surface of the water and you had the light, the energy of the water, and there he was walking across as if it was a roadway. Um, and I just wanted to do that. But I was so sad that he told me that, but it was always there. And then I always remember the day I saw Joe, his red hair, everything. And he was walking up towards towards the garage where I was with my dad. And I was looking out the window, and there was trees there and the house there, and you know, everything that I had been shown. And I knew he was coming in to look for a job. And I even said to the secretary as he got closer and came in the door, I hope he doesn't get the job. because, because I was to fall in love with them, but I already loved them from that time. So you can imagine it was scary, in that way, falling in love. And even though I loved him before I even met him, and just the thought of, that he would get sick. And the thing is, I don't think I ever put it in the books, but Joe did start to get sick from the time I met him. The health did start to go down. And I always gave out to God about that. But I know Joe wouldn't have been able to cope humanly here in the world, being as sick as that, and me doing what I'm doing. So I understand out of love, God took him home to heaven. His 4 children are born. They're all part of my life, and he's a huge part of their life. And just spiritually, the way he appears at different times, we don't die. It's only the human body that dies. We actually live, and we live again because we have that soul, that spark of light of God. And I haven't got the faintest idea why God fell in love with us humans, even before we were human, whenever he fell in love with us and gave us that tiny little spark of light. That's what I believe makes us human, because it's love. It's all those gifts you cannot buy. That's what the soul is.
I love that. And if you loved Lorna's story that she just shared, she has so many examples of specific ways that angels came to her, information that they gave her, ways that they guided her. I mean, from helping save the neighbors' children when the house caught on fire, all kinds of miraculous experiences that she had. And I love her. I love her book and what she shares. So I guess let's end this with what is the number one thing, the biggest message that the angels want everybody watching to know?
The biggest message is to remember that you have a soul and God has given you a guardian angel that is the gatekeeper of your soul, and that you live forever, for eternity. You don't die. But we're meant to live this human life. And it's the human part of us that is to learn. The soul already knows. Okay?
Love it. I love it. Thank Lorna. People are going to want to connect with you. They're going to want to read your book. They're going to want to find your YouTube channel where you share all of your wisdom with the world. So if you want to connect with Lorna, I'm gonna go ahead and put her website or her and also her YouTube channel so that you can connect with her. She has this beautiful book called Angel in My Hair that you can find on Amazon. And I'm sure that if you've enjoyed this conversation, there's so much more wisdom that she has put out into the world that you can connect with. Lorna, you are just such a beautiful soul. Your beauty inside and out shows through so strongly. It just radiates. And I am so appreciative of all of the information and how you are making sure that everybody understands that they're never alone and that their guardian angels are always with them. So thank you so much for our talk and for all that you're doing to help raise the collective consciousness in this world.
Thank you. And thank you to all of your listeners that will be listening. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. Next up, check out this playlist of other NDE interviews. Please like and subscribe. It really helps this channel to grow so I can bring you more content. Thank you for watching. I'm so glad you're here.